Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna score this whole thing with your mouth?
Maybe. So I guess for everybody who's listening to us, I guess you can tell what movie we're gonna be talking about today. If not, we are gonna be talking about one of the most beloved franchises ever, one of the most beloved super spies ever created, James Bond, in his latest movie, No Time to Die.
Doom, 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 doom,
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I really like the theme song. Good job, Billie
And
Eilish.
go Billie Eilish. In fairness, she did pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, considering you're coming after people like Tina Turner, U2,
Adele?
Paul McCartney, Adele.
Sam Smith.
Dude, garbage.
You know, yung mga, little names, Chris
Garbage.
Cornell.
Chris
By the way, we're the
Cornell.
Sub-Auteurs.
Yes, we are the Sub-Auteurs. I am Anjo.
I'm MJ.
I'm Misha.
And we're going to be talking about Bond in MI6. Why am I suddenly talking like Sean Connery?
Sean Connery.
That's the
Oh, good
wrong
God.
Bond. It's the wrong Bond.
Not that Bond.
Okay.
Oh my God! Now I thought about all the Sean Connery impressions on SNL.
You should always...
Your mother.
You should always...
On
talk
Celebrity
with
Jeopardy.
us.
Bless his soul. Bless his soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know, like, to be honest, I'm not quite familiar with the franchise. I did enjoy this movie, however, so I will defer the explanation of what this franchise is to our resident James Bond geek, Misha.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's me. Okay, cool. So, like, for anyone who's listening and not familiar somehow, this is the 25th James Bond movie, and essentially it's the 60th anniversary since the first one came out. Dr. No starring Sean Connery. And just a little bit of background, I know that a lot of people look at the character as something that's outdated and, out of touch because, he's an alcoholic, womanizing, misogynist, white savior who blows everything up, right? A lot of that comes from the creator, Ian Fleming. He was with British intelligence before there was British intelligence around the Second World War, and he was getting pre-wedding jitters. The night before, the days before his wedding, he sat down to write the book that would become Casino Royale. Basically, he threw in all his frustrations, all his fears, and everything there. James Bond was everything that he wanted to be. Good-looking, man about town, was good with his liquor, traveled to exotic locations, could get any woman he wanted, and, did everything for king and country. And for audiences reading this shit in the 50s, it was escapism like crazy. Because think about it, World War II had just ended, so Britain was still kind of depressed, Alcohol was still being rationed by and large. So the fact that this guy would go out getting drunk every night, that was exotic to them. So reading about this would just remind them of better times when they were still prosperous and rich and, relevant to world affairs. And as the series went on over the decades, that became more and more true. It reminded England of when they were powerful and when they were actually, again, relevant in international affairs. They still are, just not to the degree that they were before the Second World War. When the movies came out, they gave him a reinvention. They made him the prototypical 60s alpha male where he was living that quintessential Playboy magazine lifestyle. Expensive clothes, expensive cars, expensive alcohol.
Beautiful women.
Women everywhere he went. Different women. Exactly right. And the reason the movies made an impact was because nobody had ever seen anything like that. It was like the basic prototype for every modern action movie that came since. And their stroke of genius was getting a guy who you would never expect to see wearing that stuff or doing those things or saying those things. They got a fucking truck driver named Sean Connery. The guy was a carpenter, a former Mr. Universe contestant. Nobody had ever seen this fucker in a tuxedo being charming and suave, but somehow it worked. Ever since then, for the next 60 years, that became James Bond, a suave, stylish guy in a suit with cool gadgets, cool cars, and all that. England's influence may have wavered over the years, but yeah, the James Bond movies keep chugging along, and now we're at number 25. And that's No Time to Die with Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. He's not that... I'm just going to say, he's not that good looking. He's not who you imagine when you think James Bond, suave guy in a suit.
Oh, my mother would completely disagree.
Wait. I
Like-
have a
I'm
question.
glad
Are we gonna be?
I'm not your
Are we
mother.
gonna have a small segment of, a small thirst segment just for your mom?
Is your mother getting the thirst portion?
Mom, your turn. Just kidding. No, okay, just a quick anecdote. So I have never been a fan of James Bond. I have never even completed an entire James Bond film until now. I would only see them in snippets because I don't know. Like everything that Misha mentioned before. Yes, he is an outdated character that I was never really able to appreciate because of all the misogynistic undertones. But my mother, oh my goodness, she is not really. I don't think she's a fan of the franchise, but she watches these films because she really appreciates the casting of all the James Bonds. Like as far as I can remember from Pierce Brosnan, I remember growing up, her saying like, guwapo-guwapo naman ni James Bond. Ganun. And when Daniel Craig was finally casted as this new generation James Bond, she was like, ang guwapo. And she would watch the movies. I don't think she'd be invested at all in the story, but she loves him.
Like, okay.
She loves him. He has appeal, to be fair, just doesn't appeal to me personally.
Honestly, I'm not quite familiar with, I'm not a big James Bond fan. I've only seen like a few James Bond movies, and according to Misha, they were the worst ones also. But
oh, lucky you.
But
you know how to choose them.
But I will say this because I'm familiar with Sean Connery. I'm familiar with Roger Moore. I'm familiar with George Lazenby and Timothy Dalton. I mean, and like
they were always good-looking guys in suits,
and they all look polished. This is like. When they cast Daniel Craig for the role of James Bond, I was like, parang mas Indiana Jones ang dating niya eh. More than James Bond.
He's got a lot of grit.
Yeah,
and from
he
all,
does.
From all the other clips I've seen of like the past James Bond, like all the James Bonds, they'd always be so neat no matter how much shit or like fighting they would get into. But Daniel Craig always just is like, ang dungis niya.
Yeah, parang
ang dungis niya.
Yung bunsong kapatid nila, tapos siya yung pinakagusgusin.
He's got this boxer's face, basically.
Yeah, like he looks like a brawler. Like
he does. In fairness,
maybe that's what they were going for. They wanted to make James Bond a little bit more gritty and not as perfect as the past ones, and I think it worked on my mom.
I think I see where you're coming from because, like, I think they were consciously trying because when they got the rights back to Casino Royale and they put it into production after Die Another Day, they purposely wanted to go back more to the books where he wasn't the best looking guy necessarily. He was a guy who could fuck you up. That's what they were going for, and I guess fine, mission accomplished. But when he was announced, there was like online petitions. There was like, they were trying to cancel him before canceling people was a thing.
I kind of remember that.
And they never even seen 1 second of anything he'd done yet. But then there was this one scene, some behind the scenes shots came out of him arising out of the ocean in these tiny blue Speedos, and the internet just lost its mind. And they're like, okay, we can live with this.
But okay, we get it.
So
we get it.
We can live with this.
We get it.
Oh my God.
And that was a big deal because for once it wasn't a woman in a bikini coming into the ocean.
It was a man in a
people go
mankini.
crazy. It was a man in a mankini.
I don't know.
Okay, let me also continue. So I was watching this at home, and my mom walked in, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, I'm watching your crush's movie. Daniel Craig is the latest Bond movie." And she's like, "Oh, really?" And then she looks at him. She's like, "Hindi yan yung crush ko. Parang di naman James Bond." And I was like, "Huh?"
What?
It's like for the longest time for all these past films, she was like, guwapo ni James Bond. So it's like, I'm literally watching James Bond. This is literally the same guy. What are you talking about? So she sat in with me, watched a little, and she had her iPad in front of her. And like after a few minutes of silence of us just watching, she was like, siya nga yun. After Googling on her iPad.
Did she look for the mankini photo?
And I was like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to telling you. She's like, tumanda na kasi siya. Naaalala ko pa yung first movie niya. Hindi, nag-iba yung itsura niya. Tumanda na siya. And then she showed me on her huge iPad, showing me like the younger photos of Daniel Craig, probably from the first movie.
Right.
Sobrang nag-iba yung mukha niya. That's like, yeah, he got really old.
Yeah.
But then, and here's the kicker. She was like, pero gumapo siya ngayon lalo.
Oh my God!
Whoa, tita.
Wow. Okay.
Tita,
Wait,
chill.
You guys know where I got it from.
Tita,
Oh my
tita, gusto niya pa
God.
uminom ng malamig na tubig. Pero wait, kasi talagang James Bond na to. It's the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie I've seen na parang okay, within the first 10 minutes, ang dumi na ng itsura niya.
True.
Or within the first 5. Parang, first 5 minutes, emote, tapos nasabugan siya kaagad. I was like, oh, great, he's got grime all over. Not James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
It's not the James Bond that wears, like, suits. This guy, like, wears, like, sport coats instead. And,
To be fair, he's retired at this point.
That is
Okay,
true.
fine.
But he still got the Aston Martin. So I don't know how he got away with that, seeing as he did retire.
Retirement gift? I don't know.
Well, he kind of stole it at the end of the last movie. But anyways,
Oh, I didn't see the last movie. Sorry.
he just he just tells his boss, "Yeah, I'm retiring. Bye," and he
I'll
just fucking
take the
drives
car.
away with government property. But on Sabian, I was gonna say, remember how I said he's got like a boxer's face and shit, and he's got this huge nose and these ears. But the thing is,
Laitin mo
as
pa.
you get older, and no, really, as you get older, your nose and your ears are the only things that keep growing. That's not bullshit. That's true. So yes, he does look different because he's the
I
only.
started holding my nose like,
Are you people fucking checking your noses
Yeah,
yes.
asshole.
and your ears?
I can't check my ears because I'm wearing headphones. So
No, but yeah, that's true. And point of fact, he is actually the longest serving James Bond at this point because he's been doing it since 2006. And he's only done 5 movies. It's not the most, but this movie got delayed for like 2 years because of the pandemic. So there was really a lot of concern. Like, by the time this thing comes out, it's still going to be relevant. Are people still going to watch it? Will people even care? And apparently the box office has shown that, yeah, people care. They like seeing this guy blow stuff up.
It's James Bond. He's like one of
It
the
is.
most
It's
iconic.
comfort food.
Yeah, it's like one of the most
Hmm.
iconic characters ever created in fiction.
And just for me personally, like, that's something I loved sharing with my family, with my father especially, because he's the one who introduced it all to me. He explained it to me. We used to have a tape of License to Kill, and he just explained it all to me what I was watching. So that's Timothy Dalton, and
sorry,
it's
tape?
actually... Yes, it was on a tape. Excuse you.
just clarify.
Buti nga, hindi 35mm projector eh.
But you could see that, that he really enjoyed like sharing it with me because it was something that he himself had grown up watching. This was what they had. They didn't have Marvel movies. This is what they had. They had James Bond movies. In the 60s, it was 3 things. It was Batman through Adam West. It was the Beatles through the Beatles and Bond. Those were the 3 biggest crazy pop culture things in the 60s. And, he liked 2 out of those 3 things, so he liked sharing them with us, and that's how I ended up appreciating these things
Nice.
and watching them because he would always tell me all about their background and little trivia things, and I guess that's part of why I fell in love with movies in general. Honestly,
Oh, that's sweet.
Your James Bond is my Bruce Lee movies. Are my Bruce Lee movies.
because you like watching Chinese people on the screen.
I am half Chinese, so comes to the territory. Half the time.
Did you watch half the screen?
No.
Yeah, it was always fun. It was always fun just watching these things every couple of years. A new one comes out, so the whole family would sit down. We're gonna watch it. We know that the second he walks out and does that gun barrel sequence and shoots the screen, good times.
Bang!
Good times.
And then the red blood just, covers the screen back in the 60s.
And the past few years have been heavy on deconstruction, Skyfall being the best example, and Roger Deakins shooting the hell out of it. Like, seriously, it's insanely beautiful, that movie.
Okay.
Skyfall is the only other James Bond movie. I haven't seen it in its entirety, but it's the most I've seen in general of any other James Bond movie. Besides this that I had to watch. But that one was just like, tululaway sa sobrang ganda ng
Gorgeous.
shot.
Did you get to Shanghai where they're fighting with, they're only lit by billboards behind them?
Fuck,
The
no!
LED billboards.
Okay.
Like silhouettes fighting. Like,
Silhouettes.
I mean,
That's such a Roger Deakins.
it was so good. Like,
Okay.
sorry, Shang-Chi tried the same thing, but Deakins beat you to it, and it just looks so much better as in.
I think after this, I have gained a little bit more willingness to explore the rest of the James Bond verse, and I'll start with Skyfall. Even I might not understand much again, but yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about our appreciation for the character. What did you guys think about the latest addition to the franchise?
should I go before Misha unleashes?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Unleashes all his thoughts and feelings.
I have feelings.
Okay, this being the first complete James Bond film I've ever seen. Not bad. I mean, okay lang. I understood that there's probably a lot that I don't know because there are a lot of callbacks to previous characters from the previous films, even references right left and right about like things I really didn't know. So I will not be commenting about the story because that's something I have absolutely no knowledge on. But in sheer entertainment value and everything else that I can comment on just on this film, okay lang, honestly.
Okay lang.
It's like, it's not the best James Bond film to start off your entire watching experience with. So
Mhm.
that's on me. That's basically on me. But, okay lang.
I want to go ahead.
I can expound
I
later.
want to go
but-
before Misha because I know Misha has a lot to share. So I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I have the same thoughts because I mean, knowing full well based on what I saw, I knew that it was kind of like a loose sequel to the previous movie, which was Spectre.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen
Mhm.
Spectre. So there are a lot of things mentioned about Spectre, why Spectre was such a big deal. So parang, okay, but you know, like this had its own story. So I tried to focus more on that, which is okay
Parang
naman.
context clues na lang, di
Oo,
ba?
parang
when you're watching,
yeah.
you just go along with context clues.
Oo.
Medyo understandable pa rin naman.
But yeah, and I mean, like,
Mm-mm,
I was
mm-mm.
entertained naman. Kasi I mean, like, you know, cars, you have the boom booms and the brrt brrt. So,
The boom boom.
you know,
Boom booms and
the
brrt
brrt. But, you know, like, there were these fantastic scenes naman. Well, scene that I really enjoyed. Because I enjoyed that scene in Cuba with Ana de Armas because she was fantastic in this movie.
She was
this
We
movie-
will get to Ana
Yeah,
de
we'll get to
Armas.
that later.
Yes.
All I can say is that this movie could have used an extra 5 minutes of her on screen. But yeah,
Yeah.
Or 2 hours. I would have taken 2 hours.
Fine. 2 hours.
Yeah, same.
You know,
same.
thirst portion, whatnot.
Yeah, later.
But, but
Yes, I'm not alone.
yeah, well,
I'm not alone for once.
yeah, I mean, but pacing naman, this movie had, you know, the pacing was okay for this movie. It was quite entertaining for a bit, and there are a few characters I really enjoyed in this movie. But overall, sucks lang. You know, like I'm of the same opinion as MJ. Like sucks lang.
Parang if you knew that this movie has been delayed for like years, like
Mhm.
supposedly 2020, early 2020, just when coronavirus hit, this has built up anticipation over a couple of years already because like
That's true.
yeah, people were left hanging. People have been
Mhm.
wanting to see this. So I don't know if I should feel sorry for everybody who really was looking forward to this, especially with the like this is the 25th, right? So it's supposed
Yeah.
to be like momentous or epic or something.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
then when I saw it, I was like, ito na yun. So I was like, I'm not sure if this is just because I am not a James Bond fan or maybe this might also be a letdown for the fans. I don't know.
For me rin kasi, like, knowing full well that it was going to be the last James Bond movie of Daniel Craig, which will mean that, you know, they will probably recast the character and then, or, you know, reboot based on the reports back then of what the movie was gonna be like, reboot the entire series or franchise, diba? Parang,
Right.
when I saw it, I was like, okay. It's not like, okay, I didn't want to make the comparison, but you know, I can't help it because, you know, I'm a comic book fan. So like
Go for it.
Endgame was, you know, like a good culmination of a shared universe, and this was an okay culmination. But it's certainly better than the Twilight universe.
Fuck yeah.
I didn't
anything's better
even
than
try.
Twilight
I've
universe.
only seen the first one.
You know,
and
I saw
gave
2
up.
of them.
I was
Why
forced
did I
to
get to
watch the
2?
4th one with my wife.
Forced.
Forced. Yeah,
Forced.
forced.
Sure.
I
I
okay
believe you.
here. I voluntarily watched the first one, and it was
There we
I
go.
watched it with one of my best friends, and he's a dude.
Mhm.
You were like, "What the fuck did we do? You know, what the fuck did we watch? Why?" And then after that,
They-
the second Twilight movie or whatever, the second movie from that franchise I saw was the third movie.
You totally forks yourself.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was gonna say that I agree with what you were talking about Endgame being fitting into this whole shared universe
Kaya
thing.
nga
And I think
endgame nga eh.
Ah, nice one. I see what they did there. The
Mm.
title makes so much sense now.
Ooh, revelation.
It only took me 2
You're
years
the gets.
and 6 months to figure it out.
What?
No. No, I was gonna say that you're absolutely right, because part of the fun about the James Bond movies back in the day, you could watch them in any order. There was no real overarching storyline other than that. Yeah, he's a super spy. He works for M. He abuses Q's gadgets, flirts with M's secretary Moneypenny, who is Naomi Harris in this one, and the day is saved with amazing gadgets, crazy bad guys, and whatever. And the first couple of dozen of these, well, the first dozen and a half, is like you can watch them in any order. The only main storyline that went through it was George Lazenby got a wife in Diana Rigg. She died. Roger Moore mourned her. Pierce Brosnan referenced her. But other than that, you can watch them in any order. Doesn't matter. But what started with Daniel Craig was, with Casino Royale in 2006, they wanted to make it fucking clear that they were starting from scratch. Because it was based on the very first book, which they didn't have the rights to for the longest time. And in the first 10 minutes of Casino Royale, it just fucking kicks your ass. There's like explosions, there's parkour, there's him killing a dude in cold blood. No. Honestly, it's a solid introduction because they got Martin Campbell, the director of Mask of Zorro. So he knows how to reinvent ancient pop culture characters, make them relevant again for a new audience.
Yeah, but he botched
He also
Green
did
Lantern.
the same job. Yeah, he fucked up Green Lantern so bad. I don't know why. But he did good also with GoldenEye, which is Pierce Brosnan's introduction. So those are excellent first movies to go into. And the thing about Daniel Craig was when Casino Royale ended, the next movie started immediately after that. So, okay, fine. But at the end of that, we figured, okay, what's going to happen next? And then there was Skyfall. Skyfall was the big 50th anniversary deconstruction, whatever. It was gorgeous. So, okay. But at the end of that movie, they introduced a new M. They introduced Voldemort as M.
Voldemort.
He who must not be named as M,
Hey, he had a nose in this one.
but no hair.
They introduced Naomi Harris as M's secretary, Moneypenny. They introduced Ben Whishaw as Q, the gadget guy.
I love Q in this
And
movie.
everything was in place. Everything was in place. Now we can have our classic adventures. Now it's time to have fun. And then they did Spectre. Motherfucker. Which tried to MCU everything with the bad guy saying, everything that happened in the last 3 movies, it was me. Parang, Parang sobrang pilit.
Si Christoph
Sobrang,
Waltz.
yeah. And you expect a good performance from him, but you saw what he was like in this movie. He was boring as shit.
Yeah, it was generic. It was generic foreign bad guy.
He was like that in Spectre. That's why that was the last movie my father saw in the theater. And even he's like, the fuck did we just watch? And, it was what it was. And that's what really disappointed me about this one. In that, why did you fucking continue that storyline that nobody liked? Why are you, ba't nyo pinipilit na everything is connected and everything's a big conspiracy when you never needed that to make this franchise successful in the first place? And that's, for me, really what stumps this one. But it requires so much foreknowledge, and it's not even good. It doesn't even have good linking mechanisms. Sobrang pilit. It's just trying to make something out of nothing, and it just falls apart for me when they try and reference big
I
mythology.
mean, like you're right, because part of the reason why I actually appreciated the James Bond movies that I've seen, even if you say they're the worst, is the fact that I could watch each and every James Bond movie knowing that I didn't have to watch the previous one to figure out what was happening in the one I'm watching currently. Pero dito, I needed to watch Spectre, which led me to think that maybe I should have seen Casino Royale, Skyfall also. Kasi baka meron, I would appreciate this movie more if I had seen the previous 4 movies. Diba?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is literally the worst movie I could have started with.
It kind of is,
Same.
because
Well,
it's
especially for you.
essentially
Especially for you.
essentially what you're watching is part 5
Christ.
Yeah.
that started in 2006. And I was hoping that because they brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the one who wrote and starred in Fleabag, a fantastic writer, fantastic actress. They brought her in to work on the script, to do a couple of passes on it. And when she was brought on, a lot of people asked, oh, are you going to make him woke? Are you going to make him more relevant? Are you going to make him more self-aware? And she said, no, I'm not, because if I do that, then he's not James Bond anymore. And that's something which I think is pretty smart for a lot of people who try and update classic characters. You don't update the characters so much as you update the world around them. but you keep them recognizable. Because otherwise, it's not the character anymore.
That's a
But
good
you
point.
have other characters reacting to them, then you see how they're off. You see how they're out of touch. They're still the characters you love, but at least now you know what's wrong with them. Badly put.
Mm-mm.
That's why when Judi Dench first shows up in GoldenEye and she fucking tells Pierce Brosnan to his face, "You're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. I don't like the way you do things. I'm not going to take your crap." You fucking believe it. You listen and you realize, yeah, he is kind of the worst spy MI6 ever had. He blows everything up. He introduces himself to every fucking buddy. You know, he sleeps with everything. I don't think he's using protection, as we see in this movie, but you know, he's like the worst spy. So you need that strong parental figure. And I didn't get that here either. Voldemort was a great introduction in Skyfall because you're thinking he's a tough, badass former field agent. He's not going to take 007 shit. Inspector, he even killed a couple of bad guys. But here, he's just, yes, Bond, do whatever you want. Welcome back. Like, what am I watching?
He's not a boss man here.
Yeah, he
He
really
was
didn't
like a
feel like a
buddy.
boss.
Like, you know.
Yes, I agree with that.
enabler siya.
I agree.
Okay, so we have Misha's feelings. It's very clear that Misha's very
a lot of them.
very passionate about this character.
A few?
Okay, maybe we should have Misha talk about the plot because he had a lot to say. Because all we knew that Rami, Mr. Robot, or Freddie Mercury, whichever you may, like
Oh my god, Knives Out is fighting
Right?
Freddie Mercury.
Exactly. So all we know is that Freddie Mercury is out for revenge because Knives Out's father killed his family
God.
in the 90s.
Right.
It
I'll
just
pretend I was able to follow that.
Okay. Leia Seydoux is playing with her Tamagotchi and listening to CDs, which immediately tell you that it's a flashback. And her mother is downstairs getting absolutely plastered, smoking up a storm on a couch, feeling sorry for herself. They don't know where her father is when a masked figure enters their house and basically executes the mom. Blue is the warmest color, runs out
Oh, God.
onto an ice-covered lake, and she falls in.
To
The
be
masked
fair,
man
child
saves
version
her.
naman. Child version ni Blue is the warmest color.
yeah.
Hindi pa siya mismo.
Hindi pa
Okay,
siya,
so
hindi pa siya
Smurfette
warmest.
runs out into the lake.
Hindi pa siya warmest.
Smurfette runs out.
Blue is still lukewarm.
Fine. Little child Leia Seydoux runs out into the cold winter and falls into the ice-covered lake. And the masked figure saves her. He takes pity on her. He saves her. And for some reason, this is a big, horrific secret that her character, when she grows up, we find out that she's Madeline Swan, James Bond's love. This is a secret that she's hiding from him, even if they've already decided they're going to spend the rest of their lives together. The movie opens with Madeline Swan and James Bond. They're in Italy to visit the grave of Vesper Lynd, who was played so brilliantly by Ava Green in Casino Royale. James Bond is going to make his peace with her, and he's going to say goodbye so that the two of them can get on with their lives. But before he goes to visit the grave,
They did the Kenshin and Tomoe and Kaoru thing.
they did.
Lala.
Only it was at the start.
Except with a 1963 Aston Martin DB5, which still looks sweet after all these years. And James Bond finds out that there's things that she's not being entirely truthful about. Epic action sequence happens, gets to use some cool gadgets, but the movie, before the opening titles hit, he decides that he wants nothing to do with Madeline Swan, because if she can't be truthful with him, then, screw it. I'm done. I'm out.
I kind of liked how he made tampo about her lie because, he was doing it while they were under hail of gunfire.
Was that really the best time to make tampo? I mean,
Like, come on.
was it really the best time, Anjo?
I mean, like, if you guys are, if you're fighting with your significant other while being chased by bad guys and being shot at with high-powered rifles, would that be really the best
Time and place.
Well, I guess if you had an Aston Martin which is bulletproof and had equipped with ballistics and a smokescreen, maybe you could have done that. But that was just like traumatizing for
Drama lang eh.
Tangina.
I think he was being a drama queen. I'm with MJ on this. He was being a drama queen because he got his feelings hurt.
He was. I mean, like, did you see his face? He had those pouty lips that MJ's mom would have enjoyed, I guess. But and then you have Madeline Swan screaming, James, James, get us out of here, while he was just,
He's all like, no,
No.
I don't wanna.
and then you have this dude shooting in her window at her face, and he's just like, whatever, I'm mad at you.
Fine. It was a well-staged sequence. I liked everything about that bit. I even like the way they shot their final goodbye as the train
Yeah,
pulls
that's kinda
out.
cool.
It was well done. And the song by Billie Eilish is pretty decent. That opened off the movie after that.
I really like the song.
Mhm.
I liked it. I mean, it fit well with the visuals and everything. The actual movie plot, I mean, the actual plot of the movie has the bad guys who apparently are remnants of Spectre stealing some nanotech that apparently M has been developing in secret, which is designed to kill specific people based on their DNA. So it's basically a no collateral damage weapon against terrorism or some shit that he tried to justify. But the bad guys get a hold of it. They're going to set it off somewhere. So James Bond is being recruited by the CIA to help them find it. MI6 tells him stay the fuck out of it by sending the new 007.
Maria Rambo.
Who is kind of awesome, a lovely
love
black
her.
lady, and she takes no shit from him. She's like, stay out of my way, let's not fight. Otherwise, I will shoot you in your good knee. So, okay, fine.
Your good knee. Oh my god, I love that reference. How it's like, you old buddy. Like
Yeah.
it's my time. I am the new 007 now. And Lashawna Lynch was amazing. I loved her.
She was one of my favorite characters in this movie. Surprisingly. I mean, like, I was one of the people who reacted negatively when they said that 007 wasn't going to be James Bond. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
No, but it's just a number.
yeah, and also given the fact that this is a huge turn for the franchise, making the 007 a woman, a black woman at that. So it's like, this is where you see that, like what Misha mentioned already, like the world around him kind of changing already.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And they're telling him to his face, you're out of touch, man. You really are.
And I like-
so stay the
yeah.
fuck out of our way.
You're a
I appreciated
dinosaur.
that.
I liked it that it wasn't really pandering. It was more, it made sense. It wasn't
sense.
a pandering
because,
decision for the writing, the script writers.
I like what she said also to his face. What, you thought they're going to retire your number? Parang, dude, we're all government workers. Nobody's going to fucking retire your number. You leave, somebody else will take your place.
You're not an NBA player.
Damn right. So they go to Cuba. James Bond takes on the job with the CIA just to piss off his old boss and to piss off the new 007, where he meets up with the biggest ray of sunshine in this movie. He meets up with Ana de Armas, who plays Paloma. She's a CIA contact, and holy hell, she is dressed for a James Bond movie.
Yep.
Like, seriously.
Because nobody, I don't think I've seen anybody scream Bond girl in the last 4 movies,
No, but here's the thing. Does anybody still dress up like this for a regular night out? I mean, honestly.
If you're Ana de Armas, then you have all the license.
but, okay.
To go right ahead.
Let's
Fair enough.
Beyond the looks of Ana de Armas, but the way she played her character was really cute.
She was great.
She was amazing. She was
great.
so charming, and she was cute
Super
in a way
charming.
that she was like, "Oh, I'm a rookie."
It wasn't annoying, to be
It
fair.
wasn't annoying. It was cute.
She was a very enthusiastic character,
Rookie.
which she's a rookie. She even excitedly says, "I've been training for 3 weeks,"
Yep.
and then manages to like beat the shit
But
out
she
of
was
all the people
surprisingly
there.
sufficient,
Yeah,
Or-
and
Absolutely.
she was even nervous at the start. She was taking shot after shot because she was really nervous. But then you see her kick that amount of ass with that dress still in place.
I have no idea. That dress defies the laws of physics.
I think I was messaging you guys as they were saying, how could, ang lupit naman ng tape ng dress niya. Like, if Janet Jackson has a wardrobe malfunction in the Super Bowl, that dress should have, by loss of physics,
while killing bad guys
while killing bad guys and shooting
and
guns.
taking shots with James Bond. Like, holy hell. Like, that's pretty badass.
And it's not also the typical mysterious, super serious Bond girl I would expect. Because that's my image of Bond girls. They're mysterious. They're really hard to figure out. But
Right.
Ana de Armas,
She was a ray of sunshine.
She really just was. She was transparent.
Yeah.
She would tell you that she's fucking nervous. Not like
Mhm.
other Bond girls who would probably just hide their emotions. She was very
You know-
transparent, and that was a breath of fresh air.
And aside from that, she's not your prototypical Bond girl who would either fall in love with James Bond or try to seduce him.
Agreed.
She
Yeah,
would-
she was just excited to work with him.
Exactly. She's like, no, I'm here for work. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, like that was.
Mhm.
I haven't seen any of the Craig Bond movies, but you know, it was honestly refreshing seeing that because I've seen Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore.
Actually, I appreciated that entire Cuba sequence because it had more charm and humor than I think that Daniel Craig movies have had over the last 15 years. Seriously,
Yikes.
because this one, had its heart in the right place. It was tongue in cheek. Come on, he and Ana de Armas were just freaking downing shots while taking out bad guys.
Yep.
That was
It was
awesome. Yes, which I really appreciated because everything after Cuba, not so fun anymore. It becomes serious.
Yeah.
It becomes serious because by this point we find out that Spectre stole the nanobots to kill James Bond at Blofeld's birthday party. Blofeld is Christoph Waltz at Blofeld's live stream birthday party while he's in prison, which they never bother to explain how he runs it from
Starting
jail.
with the name
Oh,
Blofeld.
no.
They never explained it. He went there to find out, and the guy, well, okay. So it turns out that the guys that Spectre subcontracted the theft to reversed the programming on the nanobots. Instead of targeting James Bond to die in front of all of Spectre, it makes all of Spectre die in front of James Bond. Because it turns out that the subcontractors had been hijacked by Rami Malek's character, who is apparently still alive after the 90s, and he's got a bone to pick with anybody who's with Spectre because, again, they killed his family 30 years ago.
Parang just listening to your explanation makes me feel like they overcomplicated it.
They really did. I don't know why Spectre's in this movie. So let me get this straight. You brought Spectre back after everybody hated it in the last movie just to kill them all.
You know what I hated the most about this bad guy is that parang he was so hyped up that parang, oh, you do not know this person you're dealing with.
But again, she was not hiding any big secret.
Yeah, I mean, like,
We all knew her dad was a
yeah, I mean,
murderer.
like, you don't know who you're dealing with, but then this guy doesn't seem so scary or intimidating.
Not
They
at
could
all.
have just honestly skipped the whole Spectre sequence. But then again, if we did skip the Spectre sequence, we probably wouldn't have that Ana de Armas scene.
Yeah, fine, but then it still reeks of exactly what MJ said. It's conflict for the sake of conflict with these two who drove off happily ever after at the end of the last movie. They just came up with she has a dark secret. Like, what secret? We all knew her dad was killing people. And he was okay with it because, I don't know, maybe he's turned on by this. But, but to act like it was some horrible thing that he would leave her if he ever found out, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So anyways, Mr. Robot, and here's where it gets a little murky for me. I'm going to need help on this part of the synopsis. So it turns out that Mr. Robot, he's all like, I killed all of Spectre. We're good. We're quits. I killed all of your enemies. They were also my enemies. Just don't come after me, and we're good. But of course, James Bond has to go after him with the new 007 because, again, they've got nanobots that can kill everybody on Earth. And also because his good buddy Felix, who is played by Jeffrey Wright, who will be Commissioner Gordon in Robert Pattinson's Batman, got killed. So James Bond wants revenge.
I really felt for Felix that moment. Like, not even knowing other Bond contexts. At least at watching this for the first time as an introductory thing, at least I did feel the sadness when Felix died.
Yeah.
You could tell they were friends.
They had a good friendship going on, and it really translated well on screen.
How many Bond movies did Felix appear in?
I want to say 7 or 8 or more because he's been played by like 5 actors also, 6 actors. He used to be white.
Oh.
Back in the day, he was white, his first few appearances. But since Daniel Craig started with Casino Royale in 06, he's been Jeffrey Wright, he's been black. And he's been awesome, actually. Because
he's very effective in this one.
I like
can
him.
speak
I
for
like
this
him.
one.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like
And it's likable.
the rapport that
They have-
they had.
Yeah,
For sure.
they have good banter.
absolutely.
Which is,
And you could see why it would piss him off that he would go after Mr. Robot, even after Mr. Robot tells him, yep, we're good. We're good. I'm not going after you anymore. I did you a favor. Stay the fuck away.
yeah.
He also had this really heartbreaking last line, something about it's a beautiful life, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, dang.
Was it like a?
But that's also why I really liked how he killed the guy who killed Felix.
Oh yeah, it was like.
Yeah.
But you
yeah.
thought it would be an interrogation, and then he just, because
Nope, fucking rolled a Land Rover on top of
he pushed it down. It's like, oh, it's a tree's holding it up. Oh, let me help you.
Like, while the guy was begging for his life.
Yeah.
But MJ's right. It just gets unnecessarily complicated from here. Because, okay, so he wants revenge on Mr. Robot for killing Felix. But Mr. Robot is also after Madeline. And I swear to God, I have no idea why. Why is he after Madeline? She already did his dirty work. She got the nanobots into the prison to kill Blofeld. Why is he after her? Why does he want her? And apparently, she has, in the 5 years since James Bond and Madeline broke up, she gave birth to a daughter who is not or is his daughter, depending what scene you're watching.
But the blue eyes.
Because they never really make
yeah.
that. It was so convoluted.
I know, because okay, you get introduced to this kid, and this is the moment where
With
he's
heat.
like, "I've always loved you, blah 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 blah. You love my life, yeah yeah yeah."
Yes, we have
After
no
they break
chemistry,
up.
but I love you.
So, and then little kid comes out, and she immediately says, "She's not yours." And
Yes.
then he's like, "But her eyes." And eventually, when they try to escape from all these bad guys coming after them, you see him get attached. You see him go after her like he actually felt that this was his daughter. But clearly, Madeline said at the start, "This is not your daughter."
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
even if he had this inkling somehow that she was lying, parang suddenly he's just so invested in this kid.
And we never saw it. We never saw that inkling either.
Well-
we never saw him think, I don't think you're telling the truth.
Well,
Just that line about the blue eyes. That's it.
I could say
Eh.
maybe because he loves Madeline so much, even if we didn't feel it or saw it, he was, more
for
inclined.
2 movies now, we have not felt it.
For, one for me and MJ, but for
Well,
you.
yeah, one.
But
Hmm.
might have been more inclined to be invested in saving this child.
Maybe.
Okay.
I guess.
Also, he
I'll
had
give
an
commentary later. Let's wrap up the synopsis. So, long story short, Mr. Robot, Rami Malek, kidnaps Madeline and the daughter and brings them to his secret island lair, which I love, secret island lairs, because it's so old school, the super villain. And it's from that point that he's going to launch his millions and millions of nanobots at the world's major nations and wipe out entire populations, because he's found a way so that it doesn't just target specific DNA of people, but everybody related to that person. So it's going to be messy, it's going to be brutal, and unfortunately that island is in an area disputed by the Chinese and the Russians, so it's going to be very, very messy if James Bond starts blowing stuff up.
Isa
And
pang factor yun. Parang biglang
I
may
know.
political angle na parang, ha?
parang they just threw in every fucking thing they could. So James Bond and the new 007, they have to go to the island, save the girl, kill the bad guy, stop the nanobots, and prevent World War III. So it's all a regular day's work.
Yeah, that happens in every James Bond movie. Except for
The
Man with the
preventing
Golden
World
Gun.
War III part, yes, I guess.
Well,
Except for Man with the
minus-
Golden Gun, I think.
Minus
But-
a bajillion of those layers.
But yun nga, this movie made it so overcomplicated. Can we talk about that now?
Okay, let's go.
Okay,
Let's go.
ahead.
Let's go.
Why is this movie so complicated?
Yeah.
Tell me why you have to go and make things so complicated. Sorry.
You know what made this series stay so long was that it was simple. You have good guy, you have bad guy, explosions, cool cars, women, exotic travel. Simple. It's easy. You don't need to justify everything. But the last couple of movies, they've tried to over-justify everything to the point that it's just unnecessarily confusing.
I don't know. It seemed to me like it was a lot of spoon feeding while confusing your audience at the same time. Because I was like, why? But I mean, like,
And-
it felt so unnecessary to me that they had to include Spectre if they were going to have a new bad guy. All in all, din naman, they didn't even, like, if they wanted to make him, if they wanted to make Freddie Mercury, Mr. Robot, what have you, one of the vampires in Twilight, seem more like a badass than
Wait, he was in Twilight?
yeah, he was one of the
He was. I hate
Okay.
that we know this.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
Oh nga, no. You shut up. You shut up, Misha.
Look, we're breaking stereotypes like this movie attempted.
Yeah, sure.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, but Skyfall did it
Ooh.
better. In that movie, like, the main Bond girl, no bullshit, was fucking Judi Dench. That's how good Skyfall was. It totally tore apart the formula. This one, I don't know what he was trying to do. He's trying to have its cake and eat it. We want it to be fun, we want it to be silly, but we also want it to be serious. So, which is it, guys?
Yeah, it was it had an identity problem. Like like to my point I was trying to get to earlier, na parang like you don't need to kill off the previous bad guy to make the new bad guy look menacing or more sinister.
True. True.
Which is why I didn't appreciate Spectre being there and trying to connect, the previous movie. Because in my experience with the other James Bond movies that I've seen, I didn't have to backtrack. Like I just had to, look at what I was watching.
Since Spectre was so dumb, they should have done something like what Endgame did. Endgame validated Thor 2's existence in the same way Shang-Chi validated Iron Man 3's existence. So parang, they could have done that. They could have done something really good with Spectre, but instead they just doubled down on the stupidity that ruined the last movie.
Yeah, I mean, like
while trying to cram it into this whole big epic Endgame scenario.
it wasn't even that epic. Sorry,
No, it wasn't. It really
sorry.
wasn't.
I mean, like it's more epic than Twilight, but the climax was anticlimactic, to say the least.
I guess we could talk spoilers. Go for it.
I mean, like you had this one last, confrontation with your big bad, your main bad, who's I guess supposed to be so scary, but then you have this super short brawl. You don't even see James Bond getting hurt. Well, you know what I mean, right?
He gets shot a couple of times.
Yeah, but it was nothing. He's like break the guy's arm. They have this small conversation, and James Bond just
he wasn't really a threat.
Yeah,
you're right.
there
He was kind of a shitty bad
there
guy.
was nothing threatening about him except for the fact that like
He whispered a lot.
is that a threat?
I think the movie thought it was,
Well, he had a disfigured face.
which is par for the course for these bad guys. But doesn't really say anything.
Not a threat. The only time when he was a threat was when he was menacing, Tamagotchi wielding.
child.
Tamagotchi wielding. Lukewarm is the warm. Blue is the lukewarm
when he was
color or
threatening
whatever.
a 10-year-old, that's when he was threatening.
Who managed
You
to
mean
shoot him?
How did he not die from that too?
I also don't know.
Yes, he can breathe like this.
Maybe that's why he's whispering from here on out.
I don't know.
Again, the thing that made these movies stand out was you always know what you're going to get with the guy playing James Bond. The fun was how crazy, how weird, how amusing, how cartoonish the bad guys were. Whether it was the main bad guy or his main henchman. In this case, we got a main henchman with a bionic eye that's just for live streaming. And we got the main bad guy who's Rami Malek, who is he's just there.
Yeah,
He's just there.
He's a lurker.
And remember I said earlier, I'm going to need help explaining this fucking story.
All right,
I don't know why he went after the world's nations after.
there was no motive to this.
He had no motive. He's not mad at the world. He's mad at Madeline Swan's father for killing his family. He's mad at Spectre for hiring her father.
I don't even understand
Why was he going after the world's nations? Why?
I don't even understand that he, if he was so mad at the father and wanted to hurt him, he even mentions it. This is going to hurt him more. Why did he just kill the Madeline Swan?
Yeah, why did he kidnap Madeline and the daughter? I don't understand.
And why did he let the daughter go when she bit his arm?
Exactly. Isa pa yun. Like, what? Just because you want to force this emotional climax that his whole family has to be on the island, James Bond's entire family has to be on the island when everything starts exploding? Is that what you're trying to do?
I mean, I know we love Rami Malek. The guy's a great actor.
He's an amazing actor.
He probably
Amazing.
just didn't have enough material to work with. I don't know.
I think that's also valid.
Because we barely see him in this movie. We don't even know what his true motives were. There was no drive whatsoever to the character.
Yeah.
It was just honestly fun to watch him like wheeze his way through the movie.
Wheeze this way.
Wheeze! Like a Pokemon. Wheezing.
If you do not want my protection, then you can go. Why?
Yeah, what the hell was that about? Oh, so you're not committed to this whole kidnapping thing.
Yun nga, yung parang, huh?
Why
He just
are you
let
do-
her
why
go?
Why did you send a helicopter and, I think he lost a dozen guys trying to kidnap them?
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of get it too. Like, I expected him to have this whole big, bad supervillain monologue when he was fighting James Bond. But no, apparently...
tell us why you're doing this.
Apparently,
Wala!
it was the face-off when he had James Bond at gunpoint, and while he was holding Mathilde, cute girl by the way,
Yeah, sure, but why was she in this movie?
that was the big supervillain monologue. It occurred to me after watching the movie. It's like, okay, that was the monologue. That was so meh, but doy.
And look, don't get me wrong. I love all the little callbacks to previous films, whether it was Felix and James' friendship or even the secret island lair, which actually is taken from the book of You Only Live Twice, down to the Garden of Death, full of poisonous plants.
Cool.
That's all classic Ian Fleming writing. And let's talk. Let's get to the ending. The ending.
Ooh.
The ending. The character controversially. Actually, I'm okay with it, honestly. I'm okay with him dying conceptually. If you want to bring an end to this era of 007, fine, no worries. Well, what I don't like is the way they did it, because I think they could have gone for something truly emotional, but what MJ said earlier, because they put so many fucking layers on it, it just lost all resonance with me. So he's got to open these blast doors to make sure the nanobots die when the British bomb the shit out of the island. And he's got a couple of bullet holes in him already from Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, Freddie Mercury.
That would have been enough. He accepted his fate like Captain America did, right? He accepts it. He's got to do this to save the world. And he's saying goodbye to his loved one over the radio. That fucking killed me in Captain America. Here it's just annoying because it's not enough that he's going to die for a noble cause, but Rami Malek actually hit him with a dose of the nanobots that were tuned specifically to his daughter, to Madeline also, because, they're related, right? Mm-hmm. So if he goes near them, he kills his lover and his daughter, which just ruined it for me. It would have been enough if he chose to go out in a blaze of glory, saving the world, because that's what he's always done since day one. Mm-hmm. But now, because of the added layer of being infected with nanobots that'll kill his loved ones, they take away all sense of agency from him. It's not his choice anymore. It's just like, oh, I guess I gotta die.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
When that moment happened, to be honest, when I saw that he was hit by the nanobot vial thingy, and Rami Malek, Rami Malek said that it was laced with the DNA of his loved ones.
We didn't need that.
At that moment, just at the heat of the moment, I was like, oh shit, that sucks. That must be heartbreaking for him. Like I really felt for his character at that moment, because this is a time when you finally see James Bond as a family man. You finally see him settle down with the love of his life. And yes, he may or may not have a daughter. It has not been confirmed to him yet, but apparently he has accepted it despite not confirming it.
Right.
This is where we thought that, this is the turnaround for James Bond, because he's no longer that chauvinistic dude, alpha male. And this is how you transform the character and maybe leave this part of his life when he finally settles down and has a family and becomes like a good guy all out. So I feel like that's what they turned him into. This is what they attempted to do to try kind of like make up for whatever misogynistic shit he did in the past. But it just doesn't end that way. And I was heartbroken at first. But then when you get to the ending where he just gives up.
Yes.
It's like, bro, you just give up. You can't see them face to face, and that's already like the end for you. You're not willing to try. You're not willing to wait maybe a couple of years for scientists to find out, or like maybe Q find a way, or you can't just like talk to them over Zoom like the rest of us have for the last 2 years because of coronavirus.
He just gives up.
He doesn't even have to see them to infect them. He just has to touch them. I mean, wala ka bang EQ na hindi mo hawakan mga yan? Bro.
Exactly.
Bro.
Hop in a Zoom call like the rest of us.
I think like the filmmakers were scared that we wouldn't accept that he would choose to sacrifice himself. But for me, I think he absolutely would for Queen and Country. That's his entire deal, right?
Yep.
But instead, they took it out of his hands. Sorry, you'll kill them if you go near them. So just give up. I didn't appreciate it because there's nothing noble about giving up.
There were a lot of cop-out moments in this movie. Cop-out fan service. This was very superficial.
But before that, he was doing pretty good. He had the whole staircase fight like Daredevil. He was just killing guys left and right. He was getting beaten up every step of the way. He was just shooting guys. He was, he was building up to a heroic end until they took
and
it
it
away
was
from
scored
him.
amazingly too.
Yes.
Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
And see, the director, Hikari Fukunaga, he did season 1 of True Detective. So he's no stranger to one-shot action sequences. And he did it superbly here until it got to the end, where it just fucking annoyed me.
Yun lang talaga eh. His choice really like turned
So
me
like,
off.
I'm supposed to be crying because like, my hero is dying.
Yeah.
But in the end, I'm like, you sissy.
Okay.
Parang you just gave up. And the thing is, it would have been the absolute perfect end for this version of the character because they were trying to stay true to the book Bond, not movie Bond.
Book Bond.
Movie Bond is suave and charming and all that. Pero, yun nga, book Bond is the guy who will fuck you
So
up.
Bond
That's what
paper.
Daniel Craig's been doing. Wow. I don't know if I should be mad at you or if I should buy you a beer.
You can be mad.
Bond paper,
You can
the
be
fuck,
mad at me
man?
and buy me a beer.
Hirip yan!
Book Bond. It's like, paper. Bond paper.
In the novel, you only live twice. In the novel, you only live twice. There's a part where Bond is talking to the head of the Japanese Secret Service, and they're having sake, and he learns about haikus. And James Bond tries to write a really, really bad one, but that's where the title of the book comes from. The haiku goes, "You only live twice, once when you are born, and once when you stare death in the face." So that would have been the perfect fucking ending, him looking at those missiles about to take him out. But because they made it about, I can't see my family anymore,
Naging phone
it just
call.
ruined it for me.
Became a
It would have
phone
been
call.
it would have been perfect. You're right. Q could have found something. They're robots. It's not like, that he couldn't figure that out at some point.
Yeah,
Even
like-
if it's not now, maybe 10 years from now, you can figure something
They've
out.
probably just made new nanobots to counteract those nanobots.
Yeah, why not? But we're never going to know because he gave up. He chose not to leave the island anymore.
Yeah. So Misha is being all passionate now. He's being all hot and heavy about how he was disappointed by this movie. Let's talk about some of the things we enjoyed.
Gusto ko si Misha lang talaga yung
Kasi
sobrang
siya yung Bond super fan eh. Gusto nga niya sa pakin nung sinabi kong Bond paper, di ba? Okay, so anyway, let's talk about what we enjoyed in this movie. Like it was, the movie was subpar, but we did have a few things we enjoyed. So
Well, besides Ana de Armas, which we already mentioned earlier,
yeah, we cannot mention that enough, no? Ulitin natin.
like, damn, Ana de Armas,
Damn,
calm down.
that dress. Whew.
What else did I like? I did like the car chases because that's when I felt that it was high octane. It started off really good in Italy with a motorcycle chase and of course the Aston Martin and everything. But eventually when they started getting into the nitty-gritty and complicating things, the pacing really died down.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like whoop, whoop. And then for me it picked up again when finally there was another car chase involving okay, here I also have a question about this specific car chase. I was really excited by the car chase when he finally had Madeline and Mathilde in the car with him. So he went to her house in his fancy car.
That was an Aston Martin also.
Yeah. So why didn't they take the Aston Martin to
What-
escape?
guys,
Why did they
guys,
go for the
guys,
shitty car?
I'm gonna stop you right there kasi, ito yung una.
You're gonna say child seat because you're a dad.
Yeah, yun yung una ko napansin. It's like, child seat. Oh, she's strapped in her child seat.
Hindi ba pwede lagyan ng car seat yung sobrang $1 million kotse
Do you
na
have
yun?
enough time when you're rushing when you have a group of assassins trying to kill you and
But what would you prioritize? The
Exactly.
car seat?
If you
Or-
want to keep them safe, you're gonna prioritize the car seat or the bulletproof car.
Exactly.
Oo nga pala, bulletproof pala kotse niya.
Especially if you see all the shit that Timothy Dalton did with that. It's a fucking Aston Martin V8 Vantage. So, okay, fine.
Say
You
it
can't
again, say it
drive
again.
it in
What
the
car was
water.
it? What car was it?
An Aston Martin V8 Vantage.
I thought you'd say it fancier.
Ah, sorry. I'm not fancy.
That's
that
what I
thing's
didn't
got
understand.
rockets.
Yeah.
That thing has rockets. That thing has lasers. That thing is crazy. It even has a turbo fucking boost.
Car seat,
I'm sorry.
guys.
Okay, fine. It doesn't have a car seat.
Car seat.
But
car seat.
Wait,
car
couldn't you
seat.
put the car seat in the sports car?
I didn't think it had
No,
a
you
back
couldn't.
seat.
Fine.
Would it have had, would it have
Oh my god. So okay, fine. It's all
would it
about
have
child
had an
safety.
ISOFIX rig for it? I don't think so.
I think that he just took the Land Rover so that they could get their sponsorship money.
Good point. Good point. But wouldn't
The same way that BMW got their money's worth out of Shang-Chi.
yeah, Razor Fist.
I wouldn't have made the same decision though. But yeah, the car chase was pretty cool, and all the whole action sequence in
Yeah.
the forest and how he kills
No,
Ash.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like the
But again-
I like the cable wire stunt. It's like he was running around the cable
That was
wire,
actually cool.
and then he wraps it around the tree and draws the attention of a motorcyclist. It's like bam! Oh, cool! I know where this is going.
At least I like those parts because those were the high energy ones, and that's what I was expecting from a Bond film.
Yeah,
That's
stunts.
also
what
I was
Stunts are
expecting.
amazing though. Yeah, most of the stunts are
That's
amazing.
something that's James Bond's signature is they are very allergic to CGI. They still like putting real stuntmen in front of real explosions and all that.
Which is a good thing.
And yeah, they have the Guinness World Record for the world's largest explosion for a film from Spectre. It's just that it was so damn forgettable
Well,
and shot in such a way that you can't really appreciate that it's big.
Isn't it Spectre one of the biggest explosions since it bombed in the movie?
It made a lot of money, I guess. Not the $1 billion of Skyfall, but it still made money. And apparently this one's already up there. It's already past 700 million in the time of pandemic. So the producers are quite happy. And I'm assuming Amazon is happy because they own the studio now and they own this franchise. So Jeff Bezos is smiling because he needed more money.
Yeah, then he'll take us on vacations to the moon soon, right?
Man, Jeff Bezos is more of a James Bond villain than Rami Malek.
He's Lex Luthor. He's the real life Lex Luthor. That's kind of true too.
I like those sequences as well. I agree with MJ. All the car stuff, all the stunt stuff, I cannot complain about it. I love seeing the tricked out Aston Martins in any context, honestly. It killed me that they didn't use Timothy Dalton's for anything other than driving off into the end credits because she kept his car after he died. And I really like all the bits in Cuba because it had a whimsy and a playfulness to it that was completely missing from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie was more obsessed with how can we make this more complicated and make him look more heroic.
But yeah, it kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it really loses energy. So much energy.
Apart from the stunts and the cars, like what I enjoyed were some of the moments like the characters had, those nuances like of Paloma and James Bond where they were interacting with each other. There were golden moments between characters, or even like I also liked Nomi's like that one scene in Nomi during the climactic parts where she was like dragging that corrupt scientist along and she was like, "Do you know what time it is?" When he starts telling her that, what would you feel like when your whole race was going to die? He's like, "Oh, it's time to die." It's like, he just kicks him off into a vat of acid.
Yeah, that was I thought that was kind of cringe myself.
It was cheesy,
they wanted
but
to make her
I kind of liked it.
They were trying to make her a badass.
Well,
But she didn't need that to be a badass. We already established she was a badass.
Yeah, I just liked watching her move. I enjoyed it watching her move like so tactically with her guns and all. It was super like.
She was great. She was great, honestly, up until that point. That line, especially the way she delivered it, what time it is? It's time to die.
I like that cringe moment. It's like, because they found the way. They found the way to do it.
To say the
I
title.
was like, yeah.
No. That's as cringe as when Halle Berry asks Toad, "Do you know what happens when a toad is struck by lightning?"
No, that's cringier.
I do not know this moment as a
Oh my
total
God.
James Bond noob, so please educate me.
No. Halle Berry in X-Men.
That was in
Oh,
She
X-Men.
X-Men.
she tells Toad, Ray Park, she tells him, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?" And the Toad's like, "No." And she's all like, then she hits him with lightning. And then
He flies up.
dies. And she's like, "The same thing as everything else."
That was worse. Like that was so much
And she was
worse.
still trying to do an African accent in X-Men 1 before she became American in X-Men 2.
Did she try really? Because that
Sorry,
sounded
I-
American. Really?
I just totally assumed this was still James Bond.
yeah, 'cause
Oh,
she
no,
was
a
in
Bond
She
girl.
was in
No.
Die Another Day.
Her lines were also cheesy, but at least she was having fun in that one, in Die Another Day. But this was just,
That was my introduction to Rosamund Pike.
oh god, yeah. Yes, Rosamund Pike was wonderful. No, I was gonna say, the supporting cast gets some good stuff. Q and Moneypenny, Ben Whishaw, and Naomi
Q,
Harris. They
yeah.
have fun stuff. I like how they invaded his house.
I like when he said, "Can't I have a nice dinner before the world explodes?" That was
Yes.
gold.
Oh, I also like how he pulls out shelves of like amazing gadgets, and there's this one with just teapots and cups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's still British. Don't
Yes.
forget.
Tea time.
It's like-
Tea time. I mean, like, I especially like some of the character interactions talaga. Like when Misha mentioned when they invaded Q's home. I liked it also when Bond picks up his cat and he says, "Oh, well, sorry." When Q picks up his cat to set it aside, and James Bond just says, "They come with fur nowadays." Because I'm a cat owner.
Because James Bond really did start that trend that Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, all the others started doing. You do the one-liners, the action hero one-liners. Those came from James Bond just being British,
Yeah.
where
Shaken,
they're not emotional
stirred.
people, but when they make their lines, they make them count for something.
Mm.
And I really like this iteration of Q. He was introduced in Skyfall. He's a young man, which is a big contrast because the original Q was an old dude. Desmond Llewellyn. He was Q for 19 James Bond movies.
Damn.
And he never would have stopped, actually. He was like in his 80s already. He had no plans of stopping. He died in a car accident
Aw.
coming from a book signing of his autobiography. He got hit
Aw.
by a drunk driver.
Oh my
That's
Motherfucker.
so sad.
He was driving himself home. He didn't even have a driver. He was in his 80s.
Oh.
And the
Takas.
cool thing about this sweet old man was he had no fucking idea about gadgets, but he always had to explain them to James Bond, and he was always so scared that he would screw up his lines.
Can
Can we talk about
that's adorable.
the gadgets in this movie? Because that's one thing that James Bond movies are known for, or the
The
gadgets.
car was sweet. The car
I mean,
was
like,
fucking sweet.
As a James Bond nerd, I'm pretty sure you were geeking out at the first part when he was just blowing up. When he just blowing up cars with that minigun, those miniguns in his car.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I like seeing it. I mean, you can tell that he got the car in the 60s, both because the car is 60 years old at this point, and because when he flips up the control panel, you can see it's all analog controls.
I know that was pretty
But
awesome.
it works. It works for the guy. He's old-fashioned. I like it.
The one gadget that stood out for me wasn't even James Bond's. The one gadget that stood out for me was that the elevator shaft scene. It's like,
Oh yeah,
That was like, fuck.
that guy who was thrown off.
I thought it was
He's
a-
like, there's no elevator.
right. I thought it was a
That was
bomb.
cool.
And the guy was like, "No elevator," in his Russian accent, and then he just jumps down, and everybody just stops right before he hits the ground. Oh,
That's
that
pretty
was
cool.
fucking
See, that's
cool.
why I thought we were going to get a whole different kind of movie, because these things really were comic book movies for grown-ups back in the day. With stuff like that, you could throw someone down an elevator shaft and he's caught by magnets. How does it work? We don't care. It's fun.
Yes.
You don't have to explain it. But then the next 2 hours explain everything.
Mm.
God, why?
So I think we've mentioned a lot of what we hated and what we loved about this movie, but generally what Misha hated about this movie. Okay.
For the record, I didn't hate. It's just that I felt let down.
Okay.
Because
It was just
we've been
worse.
waiting for it for so long.
It's like
we were
kinda-
waiting for it for so long.
It's kind of like like a parent saying like, "We're so mad. We're not even mad. I'm disappointed."
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that to that
It's kind
effect.
of worse. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this movie. We've shared our thoughts about it. Would you guys recommend this movie?
I do not recommend it being your first Bond film.
I
Don't make my mistake. Swear to God, I did not understand much.
yes, I share the same sentiments. But even if it's not my first Bond movie, it was my first Craig Bond movie. But I didn't realize it was a sequel to a direct sequel to Spectre. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't recommend it. But
Yeah.
it's still
I
fun.
mean, as a
still
as a
fun.
standalone, it's
It's okay. It's okay.
Mm.
like, even you take out the factor that maybe you don't know much about James Bond. Was it a good movie? Not really, because the pacing was kind of like meh, and you'd absolutely see no chemistry between the lead guy and the lead
I-
girl. So it's like,
I would say watch it for the Cuba scenes.
yeah,
that's it. But the Cuba scenes were kind of worth it.
So yeah,
But
okay
yeah,
lang.
like
At-
okay, if you're a Bond fan, just go for it. Watch it just to
guess.
say you've done your you've done your obligations as a fan of watching it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Daniel Craig's entire run, it's either hit or miss with some people because some people prefer the old school. I appreciate the deconstruction. I appreciate moving it in new directions. Like I said, I wouldn't have minded him dying or him having a family because it was something I'd never seen before. As long as you keep it on brand, as long as you keep it in character, then that's fine. You can introduce all sorts of new things and it'll be fun. That's why we accept, Iron Man as Peter Parker's mentor. That's something that's never been done, but because they're still in character, it works. Somehow it works. And as far as the book version of James Bond goes, he was described in Casino Royale, the book, as a blunt instrument of the government. And that's what Daniel Craig has been really good at. Ava Green describes him as looking uncomfortable in tuxedos, which is, you can see that. This is not a dude who you would look at home in all the fine casinos of the world, dressed in a tuxedo, sipping his medium dry vodka martini. This is a rough and tumble guy who's gonna fuck you up. And I really wish that he got a good ending befitting his character. Because as it stands, Captain America did it better when they thought he died in the 40s, where he didn't get his last dance with Peggy. That I think that's what they were going for. This is a no-win scenario. I have to do this. I love you. It's a no-win scenario, so I'm just gonna not try. Y'all have a good life. I'm like, what? So, sayang lang. And whoever they get to inherit the role, move it in a new direction, I hope
Idris Elba! No, just kidding. I know. I understand why not, but, that's just me. Sorry.
He's too old.
I know, but...
Si Tom Holland, since he's basically in every franchise now.
Oh my God. If Idris Elba's too old, Tom Holland's too fucking young.
James Bond as a teen. Well,
oh my God. There was actually a Saturday morning cartoon like that in the early 90s.
I think I remember that.
Don't remind the producers.
I mean, it's bad
Yes, I
enough
agree.
he's playing Nathan Drake, a younger Nathan Drake.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense, yeah.
I still stand by Idris Elba. I don't care what you think.
Of course you do. My vote, honestly, if you ask me right now, Richard Madden. I'm good with Richard Madden.
Ooh.
Right? He's got the
Yes.
accent. He looks good in a tux.
Yes.
Fucking yeah.
Yes.
They could totally make a whole new generation,
Yes.
thirsty.
Yes.
Didn't he play a spy in a show already?
He played a British agent in Bodyguard.
There
That
you
was
go.
good.
And he was good.
That
He
was
pulled
really
it off.
good.
He pulled it off.
Henry Cavill? No.
No. We saw him as Sherlock Holmes. He was more brawn than brains. So.
Right,
He
right.
can't
No.
do the... Daniel Craig
Wait,
barely
no, I'm
gets
sorry.
away with
Okay,
it.
I take it back. Henry Cavill was great in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
See,
Oh,
Dang
yeah.
says that's really fun and she's offended that I haven't seen it.
You should. It's a great remake of another great spy show. So that
Which came about because of James Bond.
Yes.
There were so many spy
it was
shows.
it's a fun movie. Just watch it. It's good.
Okay,
It's a fun
okay.
ride.
I believe you both.
Yeah, but
I believe the tease in my life.
you'll be watching Cannibal too. Because Army Hammer's in it.
Oh, golly shit. No, there's a guy who torpedoed his career.
Yep. Faster than Spectre and No Time to Die. Torpedoed the franchise. Yeah, Army Hammer's in it.
Cannibal. I'm guessing we're not getting Man from Uncle 2 then.
Maybe not. But Man from U.N.C.L.E. was fun. Like I swear, just watch the movie. Sans the cannibal remark. Just watch it. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's it for our Super Spy episode, James Bond. We are the Sub-Auteurs. My name is Anjo.
My name is Person, still campaigning for Idris Elba.
That's MJ.
I'm Misha?
And yes, for any of
Sabi
you,
question mark.
hindi siya sure kung siya yun.
Oh, stop it.
Dr. No.
Kumota ka na sa bond paper, okay?
Okay. If you guys enjoyed that episode, let us know. We have a Facebook group called Sub-Auteurs We Love Movies. Check out our Sub-Auteurs Facebook page and our Instagram sub_auteurs. Once again, we are the Sub-Auteurs. And this has been a great episode. Thank you guys.
Oh my God, he just gave up. He gave up like James Bond did.
He joined in.
It's a lose-lose situation. I'm gonna give up. Goodbye.
Well,
see
James
what you
Bond did.
Matilde.
I did, so might as well give up.
Ah.